FM.
This is Mira Business FM. Mira Business FM. It is the morning drive. Not enough coffee this morning. That's the answer. Gold has been on its most stable bull run in years. I've used that phrase 2 or 3 times in the last couple of weeks. However, it surged. Shallow pullbacks over the last month or so, but this week that has changed. And I'm not overplaying it by saying that. Taking a look back at the week that was is our guest, CEO of Goldstrom Advisory, Jeff Rhodes is back. Nice to see you.
Yeah, good morning, Tim.
Morning to you, sir. So, it's been a week, hasn't it?
Quite a week. That was the week that was, Tim. And started on Monday with a bang, actually, with a rally to another all-time high. We've had a series of all-time highs.
Yeah, we have.
But we had the final kind of piece on Monday, and we got to a high of $4,381.
Mm-hmm.
And you pinned me down, not literally, but you
Well, I at least tied you to the seat,
tied
Jeff.
me to the seat and said, you're not going anywhere until you tell us what's going to happen this week. And you forced me into a decision I wasn't necessarily ready for, but the good old instincts are still there.
They are.
Because I said down, I think lower, if you remember.
You did.
Significantly lower. And on Monday, Tuesday, it actually fell by almost 9%.
Well, it
went to a low of $4,005 from just shy of 4,400, and even as an East Endoic, I can do that math, and it's almost 10% actually. And and then we didn't just stop; it then bounced back to around 4,300, then down again, and suddenly we're in a world where $100 bid offer spreads were quite unusual. That's wide, say over the last few years. Yeah. But now it's $200.
Yeah.
And suddenly $100 is really that's not worth talking about.
$100 spread now is to give me something interesting. When I was in Vietnam, it's that kind of thing.
It is actually, and but to be honest with you, the market needed a period of respite. It really wasn't healthy that day after day after day you had higher prices, because although that's good for some people, it's not good for others, particularly if you're a jeweler coming into Diwali, and even for retail clients going into the gold souk, and they're able to buy less gold than they would have liked to because of the higher price. So I think this respite of a lower price is good. Don't think it's over. I really don't think it's over. We do have a very big day today. We have the first economic data from the US for the last 25 days. How long has government been closed? But there's been no numbers coming out of the US since the government has been closed. Today we have the CPI. Latest consumer price index. And that is a big number, certainly for gold watchers, because gold is the hedge against inflation, and we're looking at the inflation number today. So a big number, gold goes lower. A weaker number, then probably the rally resumes, it reignites. So big day today.
It is, and there's also, I don't know if we can term this positive yet, but the US and China trade tensions don't seem quite as tense.
They're less tense.
They feel less tense.
It
seems that way, and I guess that's a confidence booster.
It is, and the big driver of gold is always uncertainty, and particularly the Trump tariffs this year and trade and so on. The fact that they are meeting next week suggests a deal has either been done or is about to be done, and that will be good for the global economy. It will actually be good for the dollar, and gold will suffer if that happens. But of course, we're running into an FOMC meeting, the Federal Open Market Committee meeting, which decides on interest rates in the US. And of course, we have that meeting next week. that almost certainly will end up with a 25 basis points cut in US interest rates, which is good for gold. So there's a lot of different factors coming into the market, which leads me to believe that the volatility we've seen continues.
That's the thing, isn't it? You've pointed this out a number of times that President Trump is good for gold, but good for gold because you never quite know what's going to happen.
Yeah, the only certain thing about Trump's presidency is the uncertainty.
Yeah. Let me just look back at Monday because, I mean, as you say, I got the old, plastic straps and tied you to the chair and said, Jeff, you've got to tell me what you think. You're thinking on Monday, and this is just as the Diwali gold rush is really about to happen, Monday and Tuesday, really. We could see a reversal of somewhere between 39 to 39.50. Now, fairly dramatic.
Yeah.
And as it turned out, you were not far off because we got down to what, 4,000?
Yeah, 4,000. 4,005.
Yeah.
So directionally, it was a good shout.
It was.
I don't think, as I say, I don't think it's over yet. I think we're in for an interesting session today. And then that leads on to next week where, as I say, the big story, two big stories next week to watch out for. US-China talks.
Yeah.
And I think that's in South Korea. That's well worth watching for gold bugs.
Yep.
And secondly, there is the FOMC meeting, the Fed meeting to discuss interest rates, where definitely priced in is 25 basis points cut.
Okay. Headlines this week, just a couple. I mean, it's great to have a dramatic headline in the media. Gold and silver prices tumble. Is this a correction or the start of a crash? It's not quite as dramatic as that, is it? Or is it?
It could be, but in my opinion, we are in a fundamental bull market for both gold and silver.
Yeah.
I've been saying for the last 2 or 3 weeks that we needed a correction. We are in the middle of that correction now. I think the correction has started. It may stop at 3,950, but if it were to break that number, then you're looking at 3,600. Technically, that's the next point of support. A move there, even from the top, would only be a 20% correction of the 60 or 70% that we've seen this year. That leaves it in bull market territory. So I do see a correction, maybe as low as 3,600, but in my humble opinion, that's the bargain of the century. So I would definitely be looking to buy some gold into that dip.
Fair. Diwali this week. Let's look at this in the context of Diwali and very much, I guess, retail buyers as well. And the impact on retail buyers. If you'd have bought 10 grams of 24 karat gold at peak prices over the course of the week, that's a potential loss or an unrealized loss, I guess, of what, $300. If you'd have bought 100 grams, it's $3,000. There was a jeweler, managing director of Liali Jewelry, said this week, if a shopper bought 10 grams at the peak price during Diwali, it cost him 5,250 dirhams. Now, the same would be 4,950. It's not a great amount of money. I get that in kind of real terms at retail level, a few hundred dirhams at Diwali. It's a loss. I understand that. It's not. Because at this time, people are, it's a long-term view. This is jewelry to wear. This is jewelry as gifts. And I would kind of think, but it's irksome, isn't it, Jeff?
No, not at all. I'm completely on the other side of the camp there.
I can see your face there.
Because when you buy jewelry,
Yeah.
you're typically not buying, certainly if you're a guy, you're not buying for yourself, you're gifting. Okay, and when you give a gift is a gift. And the true value of that gift is the love that goes with that gift. And so you can't measure love in terms of 10% or 5%. If it's a gift, it's a gift, Tim, honestly.
Oh, I would try and get the discount, to be honest, all the time. But...
Actually, I'll tell you a funny story about that. There's one of the key leading figures in the diamond industry. Yeah. I won't say his name. But he gave a speech once at the DMCC, and he was talking about diamonds and the difference between diamonds and gold. So if you buy, gold as a gift, and you go back and you see your wife and say, "Look, I've got this fantastic chain. I got 10%, 20% discount." She'll say, "Yeah, well done. That's great." But if I buy her a diamond and then go in and say, "Look, I got this diamond and I got 50% off this," she'll divorce you.
That's the difference, and that's something you have to learn as a man. I think.
Yeah, you do actually, and but for me, you look at gold always in the long term, and I'm often asked the question, okay, when should I sell gold? Never. You never. This is a safe haven asset that you put away, you keep, and that is for your rainy day. That's when you really need something. But then you don't have to sell it. You can swap it. You can swap it forward. You can actually go to the man in the high street, the pawnbroker, and raise money. You can always raise money when you've got gold. So never sell it. Really, only buy it and then give it to your kids, and it goes on to their kids. It stays in the family. Honestly, people where I grew up in London, I don't know anyone that really, and we were in a poor area, no one ever sold gold. And I grew up with that ethos. So if you ask me when to sell gold, never.
Okay. The good news at the moment, though, is it's true, isn't it, that fundamentally gold is robust. It continues to look robust, particularly at the moment. Central bank purchases pretty much record highs, really, over 1,000 tons a year. They are. The World Gold Council's recently highlighted that official sector buying now accounts for pretty close, almost bang on 25% of total demand. So the stability that offers, and once again we're back to that confidence, and there's a positivity.
Yes, absolutely, and I think it's worth mentioning that the central banks that have been buying gold are not Western central banks. Western central banks have as much gold as you can think about. The Europeans, the big European central banks, their percentage holdings in gold, 60, 65%. The US, 75 to 80%. So the Western central banks really have enough gold. It's the central banks in Asia that really have stepped up to the plate. And of course, the Soviet Union, the former CIS countries have divested of dollars into gold. So it's been non-Western central banks buying. That's estimated. I've said this before, maybe on this show. So China, second biggest economy of the world. And Chinese love gold. We all know they're the biggest gold producers in the world. They're probably the biggest importers of physical gold in the world, along with India. But the percentage held in reserves of gold by China, have a guess.
I would not know where to start.
The average in the world is 20% at central banks.
Yeah.
So the big guys, the US, etc., big 60 to 80%. So China, what do you think would be their percentage held in gold? Given the fact that they love gold, they produce gold, they consume gold, what do you think the number is?
Well, the assumption would be high, but because you're here in front of me and I'm looking you in the eye, that's not the case.
4%.
That's
4%.
4%.
Now, the global average is 20. So 4%. So when you look at the potential for more central bank buying coming from Asia, it's definitely there. And even India, the real holdings of gold in India are privately.
Yeah.
Okay, they're privately held. And the central bank's official holdings are really low compared to really what the population holds. So there's lots of upside potential for central bank buying. The other thing is, and I said this before on the show, since the middle of this year, the funds have charged into gold.
Yeah.
Okay, so the value of ETF holdings, dollar value, compared to this time last year, they're up 100%. 100%. So it's a mix of obviously the value of gold has gone up 50, 60%. But there's a massive inflow of gold into the ETF funds, money into the gold ETF funds. And so you've got the big funds buying, you've got central banks buying, and Tim, you've got retail buying.
Yeah.
You know, we are in a golden age of gold.
We are, and I think that's possibly a Donald Trump phrase as well. I get the feeling I've heard that before. Do you not sit at times like this and kind of sit there twiddling your thumbs, thinking, yeah, this is okay, this is good. How do you feel? Because gold is, I don't want to, it's a bit corny to say gold is your life, but it kind of is.
It is, no, it is,
Yeah.
and I don't know how I got into gold. It was just pure by luck than judgment. But it is, and I do really eat, drink, breathe gold, wake up in the morning and see where the gold price is, go to bed at night, where is the gold price, get up in the middle of the night, see where the gold price is.
The gills are gilded, aren't they?
So, yeah, it is, but to be honest with you, when I look back, I've obviously had a decent career, and financially fair enough, not bad for, as I say, from the East End of London, but it was never for money. It's never been about money for me. It's always been about the working with gold. For some reason, I have that affinity. I've got an interesting name in terms of Rhodes, and of course, Cecil John Rhodes was the founder of not just Rhodesia or Zimbabwe as it is now, but Consolidated Goldfields was Cecil John Rhodes' company. So Rhodes is a bit of a name in the gold industry.
Well, it is, and it's kind of written in the stars. I was thinking about this today, and it's kind of a little bit off topic, but gold has this kind of allure. It's almost physical. You know that feeling? It always evokes a response when you walk through the gold souk. The look, the feeling it gives you.
Electric.
It kind of is, yeah. It's something in the air. When I was a kid, the pirates' treasure chests mounted with gold. There's also a thing. I was watching Ocean's 11 the other day, the George Clooney Brad Pitt film, which is a film I love, and I love the soundtrack and the movie and the sort of caper of it. And I'd read a review that said, look at the fact that it was filmed in gold, and that's partly because it's in Vegas.
Yeah.
But it is, and there are times when Clooney and Pitt are outside and they're talking about something, and it's framed in gold, and it gives the movie another feel. But it's that...
It is. It really is. Gold fever really exists.
Yes.
And I'm sure, Tim, you've been to the gold souk with your other half, and you've decided you're going to buy some gold jewelry. Mm-hmm. Or diamond gold jewelry or whatever.
Yep.
You are going to do that. I'm telling you, every time you go in, you will spend twice as much as you thought you were going to spend. Okay? Because that fever comes in and logic goes out of the window and it becomes emotion. It is the most emotional of assets.
It really does. Well, I'll tell you a story. I bought my wife a diamond ring. She's long-suffering, so I thought it was overdue. But 10 years ago, 12 years ago, and we went to the Golden Diamond Park. And I'd chosen the diamond, and then, I didn't know how to get it framed in the ring and everything else. So we went in, and they made it for her. And we went into the workshop, and the guy was buffing away at the ring, and it was the most amazing experience to me. But you're right. It wasn't really a financial investment I was making there. It was an emotional investment.
It is an emotion. And as I say, it's a bit of an old-fashioned word, but it is an expression of love. So when you look at gold, and certainly gold and diamonds, it is, it's popular marketing to say that this is a gift of love, but it is true. And when you give a gift, you don't sell it. You don't.
Yeah, that's true. Actually, it's much better than flowers, because flowers is generally what have I done wrong?
Yeah,
what have you done now?
Yeah, and especially the flowers from Spinneys or just before you get in the door.
The petrol station.
Yeah, petrol station.
Yeah. Just don't buy the charcoal briquettes and offer those, because that's a very different thing.
No, that's
no,
true.
you're right. I think that's a really good point. Let me ask you. We've got a few minutes left, just about silver this week, because again.
Silver hit my all-time high. It just shy of $55.
Yep.
But I think it was close enough for me to say no longer I bought the highest silver ever, because I did pay $55 in January 1980, not to be short, because I was convinced that day it was going to $100. And I'd never seen anything close, but over the last week or so, we saw just shy of $55. It's had a period of consolidation. It's become quite difficult to trade silver because the lack of physical availability. I've mentioned this before, but if you want to borrow silver at the moment, and you can lend and borrow gold and silver, it would have cost you 30% per annum, because there is no silver around. The refineries around the world who are processing doré bars, the semi-fabricated bars, and scrap, they have a big backlog of producing the ingots, the kilobars, and so on and so forth, the smaller bars. There's probably a delay of about a month before you put in your doré bars to be melted and cast into kilobars. Probably a month before you get your kilobars. So silver is really in a short supply. It's hit technical targets. And now it's just, for me, it's consolidating. And I see this period of consolidation between $45 and $55 over a period of time. But before the end of this year, I think you'll see silver at $60 plus.
Okay. Well, I mean, mine output has kind of stagnated. Demand is there from industry, solar panels, electric vehicles, electronics. So that's still going up, of course. But silver hasn't matched with gold this week, has it? It's
not really.
Around 7% rather than the...
Not really, not this week. But over the year, silver is up significantly against gold. There's something called a gold-silver ratio.
Yeah.
How many ounces of silver 1 ounce of gold will buy you, right? And it got down to about 80 to 1. Okay, earlier in the year, it was well above 100 to 1. And it ended last year around 90 to 1. So actually, 80 to 1 was a very good performance for silver against gold. So, but it's an interesting phenomenon. Now, I hear huge amounts of physical silver are flooding into India. There's been a massive demand. Now, you would say, and I know you're looking at me, well, why is that?
Well, exactly.
Well, because gold at all-time record highs, but really expensive. So it's become a little bit too expensive. So the Indian families will go, okay, you know what, let's have silver. And there has been a huge increase in demand in India for physical silver. I think that has caused the shortage of silver in London and at the refineries. I do think this Indian demand is behind it all.
That makes sense. Well, then let me just ask you for your final kind of thoughts. We've got 2 minutes, and we've got a minute. Just on the Diwali week that was, Jeff. What do you think? This week that's just gone, Diwali. Overall thoughts on the week?
Well, I think you could look back and say Diwali 2025 was the all-time high in the gold price, and that one headline it sums up that it really was a significant Diwali, and we came out of it. The gold market came out of it, and is still very strong. So I think anyone that received gold or silver this year can hopefully have much more in their pocket at the same time in 2026.
Lots of people still think $5,000 gold, don't they?
I don't disagree. I do not disagree
You've
with that.
You've said that as well.
I probably disagree on timing.
Yep.
But it's only a matter of time. It's not a matter of if, it's when.
Well, we're going to continue to talk to you. We'll see you on, what's it today? Friday today. See you on Monday morning. We'll look ahead to the week, bright and early, and then in the week we'll examine what's happened again. Jeff Rhodes is the CEO of Goldstrom Advisory. Jeff, thanks once again.
Super, thank you.
Good to talk to you. It is Mira Business FM.